It seems like no one knows about Jeffrey Epstein. With the media lying, who knows what's real and what's fake? Just ignore this file. Anyway, in this video I'll be looking into Jeffrey Epstein, looking at the mainstream media as well as the alternative media, what they say about him, and speaking to someone really close to Jeffrey himself, his brother, Mark Epstein. And by the way, before I start this, Joe Rogan is a mainstream media. It's not like he has some terrible production quality where he's standing in front of a very cheap green screen. Anyway, plus he's also mainstream media because a lot like the mainstream media, a lot of Jeffrey Epstein's close associates were also on his podcast. But Jeffrey Epstein, originally starting as a teacher, becoming a multi-millionaire island owner. By the way, that island has been broken into many times. Like there are bare videos just talking about breaking into the Jeffrey Epstein island. Like at this point, I still don't understand why people still keep going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Like you guys are too old for him. By the way, this video is not about the history of Jeffrey Epstein. I actually have another video about that called Epstein is Innocent. Comedy, but you can watch that at the end if you want. There's other things about it too, but this is more about mainstream media and how it's lying to us. But you might be wondering, Mo, how can the mainstream media lie? They never lie. It's not like they're all programmed by the same overlords in charge of them. No, that's stupid.
All too common on social media. More alarming, some media
I think we've had the mainstream media long enough that we don't trust them anymore. Like, look at Iraq war, look at the COVID situation, the 2008 financial recession. All these are great examples of where the media was just chatting shit just for their own benefit. Because the mainstream media aren't a bunch of journalists, they're just people who work for a richer person who fund their cause. But luckily we're living on a time where we have multiple media sources, so you don't have to rely on just your whatever channel you're on. But that does also come with a negative, with alternative media having wacky examples of Jeffrey Epstein as well.
A video found in the recent Epstein files dump. It has a humanoid body, but a large bulbous head.
But before I talk about alternative media, let's get into the mainstream, because they're the ones who are kind of covering it. It seems like when it comes to mainstream media, no one really knows what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, who he is or who's in charge. They're blaming Russia. That's kind of funny because everyone on alternative media are blaming some other country, but we're going to get to very soon. I'm sure you already know, but don't spoil it in the comments. The thing is, I don't believe it's Russia, because when I was looking around, I found multiple examples of Epstein, and I'm going to call Jeffrey Epstein Epstein from now on. Because when I was looking around, there was multiple examples where Epstein was trafficking people from Russia, just models he would get from Russia and bring them over to his island. But I can't find anything about the other country that we're not going to speak about yet, because, you know, that's about the alternative media. This is about the mainstream media. Again, don't spoil it. The reason why I don't believe the mainstream media is correct when they say it's Russia that's involved is because one of the people that was emailing Jeffrey Epstein, Masha Jokova, but by the way, activist by the way, in the email, Jeffrey kind of confessed his pedophilic ways, where Masha spoke about how her friend is making a VR film, and Jeffrey Epstein's reply was that, I need the computer to read this, a really bad guy that gets children for sex sent to his island. That's me. But the reason why I believe that this proves that Russia is not involved is because Masha had a documentary called Putin Kiss about a person who admired Putin but then went against Putin, not agreeing with the Putin system. And if it was a pro-Russia thing, why would you be working with this person? You know what I mean? Like, from what I know about Vladimir Putin, if you chat shit about him, he'll be Putin you in the grave.
I thought it was funny, nobody else did.
So from the information from the mainstream, it seems like they're just lying to us, because it's clear that Russia isn't involved, from my opinion, from what I found looking through the emails. Plus, the former Prime Minister of Israel was seen there. Spoiler. But in a world where we can't trust the mainstream media, some people rely on the alternative media. And the issue with the alternative media is that it allows so many people to access it. And morons like myself are able to just spill our own opinion on it, even if it's completely bullshit. And I'm not saying that the things that I found on alternative media about Jeffrey Epstein's a lie, but I'm just covering my ass just in case someone tries to sue me. Like, for example, something that's not said in the mainstream media that's said in alternative media is about how he's still alive. Like, allegedly, the guy's still playing Fortnite even though he's supposed to be dead. You could take the pedo out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the pedo, you know what I'm saying?
I thought it was funny, nobody else did.
There's also been many mentions of pizza, jerky, grape soda. In fact, a doctor was speaking to Jeffrey Epstein about getting pizza and grape soda in. This is a doctor, by the way. This isn't like grape soda and pizza isn't a doctor's diet. So Jeffrey Epstein, there's 900 plus times that he's mentioned pizza, multiple times where he's mentioned grape soda, multiple times where he's mentioned jerky. Jeffrey Epstein either has the diet of a 10-year-old or he's feeding a bunch of 10-year-olds.
I thought it was funny.
Another thing that doesn't get spoken in the mainstream media about Jeffrey Epstein is his huge connection to Israel, with multiple people who've come from Israel who have worked with him, as well as the fact that the ex-prime minister of Israel also has been seen hanging out with him multiple times. But that could just be coincidence, because I'm not really that kind of a journalist. This is just a video about why the mainstream media or alternative media might be lying about us. So please, Mossad, if you're watching this. But you'll never hear the mainstream media talk about it. In fact, they were quick to blame Russia, even though there were vague mentions of Putin. And that's just Jeffrey's talking about how he wants to meet Putin. But now we're in this weird world where everyone else online says that it's Israel, and the mainstream media and many older people say it's Russia. And you don't really know what's what, because it could be Israel pretending to be Russia, or it could be Russia pretending to be Israel, or it could be both working together. And if that's the case, then we're all fucked. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's also a huge amount of satanic kind of examples.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Baal being used doesn't really help out the case. But apparently Jeffrey's bank account is called Baal. That's pretty weird, because I don't know anyone who has a name for their bank account. And my bank account is called Overdraft. I mean, my bank called me because of my overdraft, but that's a completely different thing. But if that's the way to be successful for a ritualistic sacrifice or a satanic sacrifice, then that 10,000 hour book has fucking lied to me, because I've been working my ass off when I could have just killed. Another thing that doesn't seem to be mentioned a lot by the mainstream media is Lex Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, has been addressed on the emails multiple times. Maybe Victoria's Secret was she was underage. I apologize for that joke.
Answer another question. 5 words, okay?
Now, Lex Wexner's defense was the fact that he was giving him advice, talking about financial advice, because that's allegedly what Jeffrey Epstein used to do. I looked through the emails. There were hardly that many financial advice. In fact, Ian Osborne, someone who is a financial advisor who was speaking to Jeffrey Epstein, gave him advice. So there's more financial advice from other people than there were from Jeffrey Epstein himself. But it seems a bit weird. Like, the guy has mentioned buying pizza and grape soda more than any financial advice he's given on the rest of the emails. For a financial advisor, eating out that much, that's terrible financial advice. Eat indoors, save money. With inflation nowadays, what kind of fucking financial advice is this? But it is very weird how often pizza has been mentioned, but I've never seen a photo with Jeffrey Epstein and a pizza. Like, here's a photo of him with a cake. That's not a pizza, I think. But here's an unrelated image of Woody Allen with a pizza. So, you know. Fun fact, Woody Allen's still making movies. He's made this recent one in France. Obviously, it's French and stuff. France is the only place where creeps are okay. I did contact Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, because I felt like it's only fair he gives his own view of Jeffrey Epstein, because the mainstream media and the alternative media only give you an example of the information that's relayed through emails and stuff. But if I was to speak to someone who is closer, his brother, someone who grew up with him, they'll give us a completely different view. And from that, I got this email. Now, in the email, Mark Epstein didn't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. He just wanted to discuss his murder, and he was willing to give me some leads, but I didn't want to actually get into this. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this isn't investigative journalism. Like, if you want to contact Mark Epstein, try to find it out. I'm not going to share his email, but it's easy for you to find it, and you can hopefully be able to do your own investigative journalism. But I'm okay. Like, I did genuinely contemplate whether to go ahead with the meeting with Mark Epstein, only because the guy didn't want to be on video, so I didn't really know who I was speaking to, if it was going to be the guy. And even then, it's weird how he just wants to speak about his brother's death rather than just what his brother was like. But I'm not in his situation, so I don't really know what it feels like and everything. So I decided to leave it. I was contemplating, should I contact him? Should I do the phone call? Is it even worth doing a phone call? Like, look, here's me thinking about it, right? Here's me thinking about it. Here's me getting, I'm distracted now. Yeah, you see, oh, wait, no, okay, I'm getting too distracted. Wait. So in conclusion, it seems like no one trusts the mainstream media. No one knows from the alternative media what's real or what's fake. There's also this photo where someone was spotted, looked a lot like Jeffrey Epstein. Some people say it's AI, but they believe Jeffrey Epstein's still alive in Tel Aviv. But again, who am I to know? I'm just using the information I found online. This is the unfortunate thing. The only people who are really fucked are just the poor people and the victims, while the rich still succeed. So in my conclusion, I don't think mainstream will tell you the truth. And unfortunately, the alternative media is full of so many different sources. Some of them could be false flags just to manipulate your information. Like, you don't know what's real or fake. Like, there are things I found online talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case that I couldn't find from the DOJ website. But this doesn't mean it's not real, because apparently the DOJ have been deleting some of the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is like the weirdest fucking video. I'm not gonna lie, I've done too much research on it. I'm gonna get back to lighthearted videos. This video did take longer than I expected. It wasn't because I was lazy or because the editing process took long, but actually I was very ill for like 3 or so weeks.
I don't know what happened there. Maybe it is a coincidence, but weirdly enough, at the same time I was ill, I found on Google Trends my name was searched in Israel. I don't know who searched me. Mossad, I don't even think it's you guys. I think Jeffrey Epstein was just doing his own thing.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do want to go more in depth about Jeffrey Epstein and the whole emails and everyone he knew, I've left the link down below for Coffeezilla's video. He's more in depth than I am, and honestly, he's much more professional than my whole videos. If you want to watch more just comedy, silly videos from myself, just talking about random stuff, the top video is YouTube recommended what they think you might like, and the bottom is how Epstein is innocent. Obviously that's a joke. So yeah, check it out, subscribe, follow, watch more of my videos. It doesn't really matter at this point, since Israel, you know, someone in Israel has touched my name. I don't know how long I got left, so you know, I appreciate you just sticking through as long as you have. You know, I don't know how long I got left, man. Honestly, just, was this video even worth it? Like, and the thing is, it's not even like Mark Epstein. If you're watching this, Mark, no offense, you know what I mean? Like, I thank you for replying back. If Mossad's watching this, hey, you know, this has been a comedy joke, you know.
I thought was funny, nobody else did.